A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. Watch out! And clicks. For kids who love adventure, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
Hey, it's JJ Virgin, and welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, where we'll connect with some of the coolest people in the world. Plus, I give you tips that you can put into fast action to up-level your health and your life. Now, today's show is all about living a high vibration life, and I'm going to explain what that means. Actually, I'm not going to explain what it means. I brought my girlfriend, Robyn Openshaw, on to tell you a little bit about it. Now, you probably know her as the Green Smoothie Girl, and I'm going to have her tell the story of how that name came to be, because you probably don't know the story, and it's pretty funny, actually. So I'm bringing her on, and let me tell you a little bit about her first. She's the best-selling author of 14 wellness books, including The Green Smoothies Diet and 12 Steps to Whole Foods. She's a foremost psychotherapist and a university professor, a competitive tennis player and recreational skier and cyclist. Plus, I've been making her burst train. She has raised 4 children, and she did that as a single mom. And she has her next book coming out in the fall, 7 Days to Your High Vibration Life. So again, today's guest is Robyn Openshaw.
All right, let's do it. Robyn Openshaw, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here with me today.
Me too, JJ. Thanks for having me.
So this is super fun. We kind of have we have a lot of the same background, which is pretty interesting. And one of the things that we have in common is reality TV, except I was not on what you were on. When you were telling me this story, I'm like, you probably weren't expecting me to bring this up on a podcast, but I can't help myself. So let's talk about your whole, because your reality TV kind of launched you, even though it had nothing to do with what you've gotten into. So let's just talk about that experience.
Well, it was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. And you're right, I don't talk about it very often. Most people who follow Green Smoothie Girl online have no idea that it all started when I was recruited to be the mom on Wife Swap season 5, which is an ABC Disney collaboration. We were shown, our show was shown during Sweeps Week. I think there was 21 million viewers. And the crazy thing is, I swapped lives with a woman in the inner city Albuquerque, and they were a family who ran a skate shop, and they had a daughter, and they just took care of like these 20 or 30 skaters. Most of them were on drugs. And we swapped lives, and I was supposed to be the sort of hardcore, overstructured, overeducated, overachiever mom, and who made my kids get in the car by 7:23, or else we had to walk to school. And I made my kids drink green smoothies, and that was really the thing that they picked out to sort of highlight and make me the big weirdo. And it ended up that ABC said, okay, a lot of people are going to be trying to reach you because of this green smoothie thing. And this was back when there were 50 searches worldwide on Google a month for the term green smoothie. Nobody had ever heard of such a thing. And so we went on, and I started the website Green Smoothie Girl, which went super viral. We ended up with millions and millions of visitors, but not because of the TV show. But that's why I put the site up, is to tell my story. I don't help people find our show because they made me out to be a little bit militant, and they said that I made my children all celebrate their birthday on the same day, which they didn't mention that all my children were born, all 4 were born within 2 weeks of each other. And that's not even actually true. But that was sort of the little entertainment value of the whole thing. And it was a wild ride. I think I had a lot better experience than my then husband did. But that's how Green Smoothie Girl got started.
That is hilarious. Yeah, we will have to have a viewing party one night. Oh my gosh. I'll share some of my old Dr. Phil stuff with you and my freaky eaters, and you can share that.
As long as it goes both ways.
Yes. I think I've got some of the bloopers and stuff too, so I could really hit it out of the park. So, all right. So now you're the Green Smoothie Girl, but before that, or was it before that? Because I know that you've told me that you had all this stuff going on with your health. When was that, and what really was going on?
So in my 20s, I weighed 206 pounds, and I had 21 diagnosed diseases. I had a big tumor that was really troubling me. I had 4 autoimmune diseases.
Wait, you had a big tumor that was really troubling. What?
They were watching it. I had a big tumor under my arm. It had been growing for years. I had I was losing my eyesight. I had 4 autoimmune diseases. I was on drugs for every single one of them. I had high blood pressure. I couldn't have run a city block to save my life if somebody had a gun to my head. And I was just sick. I was sick all the time. I was sick all winter. One time I got the flu and bronchitis and stuff like 10 times during the winter. I was completely miserable. And I've been through like 6 years of infertility. That was one of my 21 diseases, and 5 artificial inseminations. Finally, after several miscarriages, I had my baby, lost his twin. His twin died, had my baby. And when he was less than a year old, he was in and out of hospitals, emergency rooms, doctor's offices. He was on constant steroids, 5 courses of steroids a year. Yeah. And he, from the steroids, the bronchodilators, the antibiotics, the constant drug interaction that he was having, he fell below the 5th percentile for weight, and he was diagnosed failure to thrive. And many times in the middle of the night, we thought he would die. He was breathing 85 times a minute. His blood oxygen saturation would fall so low that we'd have to rush into the ER in the middle of the night. So here I had this 9-pound beautiful baby that was my 5th artificial insemination, and his twin dies. And here we are, he's a year old and he's failure to thrive, and we're not sure he's going to make it till next week. And that's when I sort of flashed back to a miracle in my family's life when my grandmother was diagnosed with a very advanced stage metastatic cancer. And she did some super kooky stuff back in the 80s that everybody thought she was crazy for, but she was just drinking tons and tons of green juice and eating salads. And for a brief period of time, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, but she just ate a lot of plants, a lot of life-giving, packed with, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, fiber, and she beat this cancer, and she lived another 25 years. So she was around when this was going on with my son, and she was there for me to go and say, okay, maybe food's at the root of this. So help me.
What were you eating at the time? It is just so hard for me to ever picture you. I mean, I've had to get you away from like some little treats here and there, but they were gluten-free and low sugar. So, I mean, I can't for the life of me imagine you this way, Well, it's crazy.
First of all, at JJ Virgin parties, everything is healthy, so you wouldn't have to pry the treats out of my hand. But yeah, absolutely. I weaned my baby onto gallons of cow milk and chicken nuggets and Otter Pops and cinnamon raisin bread and Ben and Jerry's. And that's kind of like how my diet was too. It was your typical burgers and fries and diet Coke. And, there's good reason. Now I get it. Now I get why that happened to me.
So your grandmother came and told you that. And so what happened?
Well, I'd watched her, all the way through high school. I'd watched her go from, this, you're going to live a year. There's really nothing we can do for you, but you really should do chemo and radiation. So you live a few years instead of 1 year. And she said no. And, I'm not taking a stand that someone should, say no to chemotherapy and radiation. Super personal choice. But I watched her turn orange from all the carrot juice she drank and just flooded her body with micronutrients and oxygen. And cancer doesn't like to live in an oxygenated environment, an alkaline environment. And so I had seen that, kind of knew what to do, hadn't really connected our misery to our diet, but I started putting one thing in place. And that was I went in my kitchen, I threw a bunch of greens in my blender, greens and sprouts, and blended it up. And I'm not super proud of everything that was in that blender that day, but it was my first ever green smoothie. And I went outside and I sat on the porch and I started drinking it because I was, worried about my health. And little baby boy was in the grass and he was starting to walk. He was 15 months old. He came over and he said, "Can I have some?" And I had this genius mom moment where I said, "No, it's mommy's."
Oh my gosh. Oh.
So of course then
he wanted it more.
Oh yeah.
So that actually worked well because he really wanted it, right?
Yeah, and so then I just sat there and watched with astonishment. This kid I'd probably never fed a vegetable to at that point slurp it to the bottom of the cup. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I can feed my family healthy foods that they will eat, that actually taste good, that actually, I just need to get a little creative here. And so just a light bulb went on and I started making shifts to a whole foods diet and probably almost went to the other extreme because all of a sudden I'm playing sports again. And all of a sudden my son never, ever needs another steroid or antibiotic or bronchodilator ever again, and regains his weight, ends up being, his senior year, he led the state of Utah in RBIs. He was MVP of the baseball team, led his team to state, hit 2 grand slams in the playoffs, in the state playoffs, and just lived the dream. We were just on our feet every night for a week watching our son lead his team in front of 2,000 people in Utah. And this was my Failure to Thrive baby. And it was related to our diet, and it was related to taking simple steps back to a whole foods diet like people used to eat before we all had autoimmune disease and diabetes and, cancer.
So when you were going into the hospital with your son, and here you are, you're overweight and suffering and sick, and you're bringing him in, and like no one ever said anything?
No. I remember the light bulb started to come on. He was about a year old, and I remember going to the pediatrician and saying, "Hey, so I've been reading stuff about food." And I thought that was a good idea. I thought that would be a great idea to talk to this pediatrician. I later found out ate at J Dog's every day, which is a little Utah chain that you eat like giant hot dogs. And I said, I've been reading about how dairy products are like really mucus forming, and since asthma that's like life threatening for my son causes the bronchioles to fill up with this fluid. Like maybe what if it's like mucus, and what if do you think I should get my son off of these mucus forming foods like sugar and dairy? And I remember his face getting red, and he was holding his pen. I actually had the thought that he was going to throw his pen at me because he started to get angrier and angrier the more I was carrying on about what I'd been reading. And he said, diet and exercise, they're great. They don't cure asthma.
Oh my goodness.
So I left there going, okay, well, that's not what we do here. We don't talk to him about anything related to diet. And so I just quietly went about my little experiment, which literally completely disappeared the asthma in a short period of time.
So when I hear this, I of course think over to my story with Grant. And them saying, no, you just have to let him go, and no, he's never going to walk again. And no, they were calling Grant never gonna. In fact, even today, I was talking to him and he says, I'm starting to hear out of my right ear more, but he's supposed to be completely deaf forever, right? In his right ear. And I'm like, no, Grant, you're not allowed to because you can't hear anything. He's just laughing because we're like, but that's that mindset. You just exemplified it. And I know that we've been kind of like, we go through such parallel paths here. And you're starting to make this shift too. And I don't call it a shift because we're not leaving things behind, but you've got, great information out there about health. You do amazing cleanses. And now you're bringing out, you have this super cool podcast about high vibration life, and you've got a book that you're working on about that. So how does this, where did that one come from, and how does this all tie together? What's the pretty bow we can put on this?
Well, you and I bond over this all the time because we've been out there writing books about wellness, and you've helped millions of people lose weight and ditch their sugar habit. And that's the plague of America. And I had to ditch my own, and I still fight with it. I'll go like a year without sugar, but it's an ongoing struggle. And I've been teaching, I spoke in 450 cities over the course of 6 years talking about green smoothies. And you and I love the work that we've been able to do with people. But now we're like 50-ish, and we're starting to transcend, and we're starting to discover these amazing new levels of growth that we can achieve. And they go beyond the green smoothie, and they go beyond sugar impact. And those are all components, and those are all foundational. But I've been really diving so deep into learning about the body's energies and learning ways to live in higher vibration states. Einstein said, everything in life is vibration. And Tesla later said, I know you and I both drive a battery-powered car. What a freaking miracle, right? Tesla on the European continent dreamed at the age of 20 that he was going to come to America and channel the energies of Niagara Falls. And he did it. He did it even though Westinghouse was stealing from him and just trying to destroy him. He did it even though Thomas Edison hated him and went out and did public demonstrations against him. But he went out and he channeled the energies of Niagara. And there's so much that we don't know that we're starting to learn that you right now, your atoms or your molecules are literally exchanging electrons. Your atoms are exchanging electrons with people across the planet. This is collaboration on a quantum level. This is learning that there's so much more than the physiology of Newton's physics. And so my book that's coming out this fall, we have the same publisher, you and I, and you're always introducing me to amazing people. 7 days to your high vibration life. I use my background in detoxification to help people in 7 days start to tap into more of those high vibration emotions and ways of living. Like you and I have just been talking about today, about how gratitude and your tip for your audience about spending the first moments that you wake up thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude, joy, love, these high vibration emotions starve out the low vibration emotions. And when we live in fear and self-doubt and anger, we're paralyzed from doing the things that we were put on this planet to do. So you and I are upshifting. We're energetically upshifting. And my book is super, super practical in very specific things that you can do to literally live at 10 megahertz higher energies. That's the difference. We're not taught to evaluate foods or practices or the ways that we think in terms of energies, but everything, Einstein said it, everything in life is vibration. And when we understand that, and we don't go super deep into quantum physics, but we do show how it applies to living your happiest and healthiest life. And it's so similar to you and I on the parallel paths with you teaching about miracle mindset. I love collaborating with you because we've both gone from writing nutrition books and blogging and trying to help people with that foundation. It always has to be, the foundation has to be our food, our fuel, our nutrition. But now I love talking about energies and quantum physics and how to live at high vibration. This is just higher level stuff.
It is. And I got to tell you, what I see mindset as is, vegetables are to the diet to me like as mindset now is to living your high vibrational life. So that's how I've just kind of, because everything kind of goes, I go, how does this fit in? I'm like, well, that's what gratitude is. So I love that you brought this up and that you're doing it in simple, actionable ways, because that is really what's key. I think, you can't think your way through these things. You've got to move and act your way through them. And so you need those actionable steps like gratitude that are so easy to do and then make such a big shift. Now I'm going to throw a curveball at you because I can. So what's the one thing you do every day that makes the biggest difference in your life?
It's so easy. Eat green food. I mean, there's 10 things, right? But right off the top of my head, one of the things that saved my son's life and my quality of life is eat a lot of green food. Okay. It's like 70 megahertz of energy. It's the most nutrient dense food there is. I'm not saying eat only greens, but eat a lot of greens.
And I do see that. I got to tell you, I've got to just vouch. I am one of those big people. I always look to see if people walk their talk. It's like, if this is what they're preaching, are they really doing it? And everywhere you go, and we've traveled to a lot of places together, and you always have your green drink.
So. And people are always like, Robyn, we get it. You don't need to tote your green smoothie or your green juice around. I say, hey, I don't even sell this. I have it made, or I make it myself. I freeze it. I pack it in my suitcases so I can get through 3 days with and I don't put fruit in it. It's just greens. It's just organic greens and cucumber and celery, a little ginger, a little lemon, which is really alkalizing. But we're not drinking fruit juice here.
Yay. Yes. Yeah. We know. We know. You wouldn't be allowed on this show if you were doing that. I would have busted you. So that works out perfectly for the gift that you're giving the audience, because I'm sure this is a part of it. You tell us about what you've got for us.
Okay, what I'm giving you is, I have spent so much time on this and I'm so excited about it. It's a free video masterclass, and you've got 5 videos teaching you what I think are the most high impact whole foods habits. I want to teach you about how to get your immune system back on top, how to eat whole foods really inexpensively, and how to bring your family along if you've got a spouse or kids that you think are going to create some drag there and maybe not be supportive or maybe even sabotage. I'm a former psychotherapist. We didn't talk about that, but it's kind of me bringing my background as a shrink together with my background in health and wellness. And I want to help you make it easy, cheap, and yummy.
Well, and it's free, so we love that. It's our favorite word. jjvirgin.com/green. There, that's easy to grab that so you can get started right away. And I just love the whole story and how this whole thing came full circle from the start with the reality show to the high vibration life and the whole thing. So it's just awesome. Thank you so much, Robyn. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Yay. So after the break, I'm going to be answering a listener's question. So stay with me.
You already know starting your day off with the right breakfast sets the metabolic tone for your day. And now, the perfect and easiest way to do this is with the JJ Virgin's all-in-one paleo-inspired protein shake. This convenient, nutrient-rich, protein-enhanced meal comes in 2 delicious flavors, vanilla and chocolate, and is a huge time saver, ensuring your body uses stored fat as fuel, creates steady, sustained energy, and cuts your hunger and sugar cravings. Visit jjvirgin.com/products today and experience the easy way to lose more weight and keep it off. Visit jjvirgin.com/products and start your day with a healthy shake.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question, and today's question is not a listener's question. I'm going to go on a rant, a bit of a rant, because Robyn brought it up, so I have to talk about green drinks because she made an important point. And as I was writing the Sugar Impact Diet and really looking at where we are getting duped, where sugars were sneaking into our diet despite us thinking we were doing something healthy, and one of the places that they do that are in these so-called green drinks. Robyn said something super important. She doesn't put any fruit in her green drink. Your green drink should be a green veggie drink. Kale, spinach, collard greens, chard. I will use a little lime, but that is it. It's because it's a non-fructose fruit. But those are the types of things that can go in there. Cilantro is another great one, but you get the idea. Some of those popular green drinks out there, oh my gosh, they have more sugar than a soda. There's one out there that has 44 grams of sugar in it. And if you look at the ingredients, it says, boosted green drink on it. If you look at the ingredients, the first ingredients are not vegetables at all. In fact, they're not even green. It's mango puree and apple juice, all sorts of things like that. So watch the labels of these green drinks, the ones that are packaged, or if you're at a smoothie place, because quite often they put in there carrots and beets, which are great eaten as a whole food, but in a juice can be very high sugar impact. So carrots and beets, and then of course apples, highest fructose fruit there is. Apples tend to be one of the classic ones to throw in there because they're sweet, because they've got more fructose. So watch that. And if you are going for, I loved the idea of freezing your green drink so that you can bring it with you. The other thing that you can do is get some of the freeze-dried green drink mixes out there as well. And that's where you've got to read the label. Ideally, it's as organic as possible. Some of them aren't 100%, but they are, because occasionally you can't get an ingredient that's organic. So you want to make sure that they're, as close to 100% organic as possible, especially in the foods that matter, like celery. And you want to see how they're processed. But the big important thing is that you want to make sure they're not loaded with sugar, right? That's the whole point. And my favorite way to have a green drink, if you're going to do this, and I think they're a great thing to do, is either put some of that into your smoothie, or if you're having just a straight green drink, add some chia seeds in there, because the fiber and a little bit of protein from the chia is going to help temper that blood sugar response. And that's critical for you to do. All right. If you'd like to submit a question, just head over to my Facebook page at JJ Virgin Official. Look for the little blue check mark. That's me. And I have a favor to ask. I would really appreciate it if you could go to Stitcher or iTunes and leave an awesome review for me. It helps a bunch. Thank you so much. While you're there, subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you. I'm just out there to get the information out to as many people as possible. All right. This is JJ Virgin signing off and reminding you to live courageously. Show up. Step up. You are stronger than you think.